What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing a controller that I had purchased over, I would say, a month ago. So I think I've had a fair amount of time to actually play around with it and give you my proper opinions of the controller. So, yeah, without further ado, let me show you what the controller looks like. First off, obviously it's for the Switch, otherwise I wouldn't have my Switch sitting here. And the controller is this. Now, this controller is pretty good. Like, I really have no complaints about it or anything. The only thing that might turn people off a little bit is the fact that this has analog triggers. Now, I figured the reason why that is because of the PC side, because this can connect to your PC and your Android. So I think that's why they put the analog triggers, because if you're gonna use this on your PC, a lot of the games actually take advantage of the analog triggers, so that's why they're there. And while playing Splatoon, I did notice that you do have to kind of press it down completely for it to register. But most of the time I'm tapping it anyway, so I don't really notice it. But there have been times where I would be tapping it and I would start tapping it softly, and my input wouldn't register. So yeah, that can throw you off a little bit. Other than that, everything else about this is amazing. So it has all the face buttons where they should be. They don't sound super clicky like the GameCube controller does. I no longer have my GameCube controller. In fact, I don't know what happened to it. But yeah, the A button on the GameCube controller, oh my gosh, you could hear it from the other room pretty much. But this one, if you're not pressing it like super hard, you don't really notice it, especially with the game audio and stuff playing. You don't really notice it. And they don't feel mushy. They feel just fine. They feel like they have a pretty good membrane under there. The plus and minus buttons work like they're supposed to. Capture button works like it's supposed to. Home button works like it's supposed to. So no complaints there. Analog sticks. Now the analog sticks feel really nice. Like, I can't really describe it very well, but yeah, they feel premium. They feel like they're not gonna mess up. Now, I will tell you, this has suffered a few drops. Not purposely, of course, but accidental. And these things are still holding up strong. Unlike these, where you get the slightest bit of dust in those, and they start messing up. So, yeah. I mean, the Joy-Cons are great, don't get me wrong, but they're just too fragile. In fact, recently, Nintendo have gotten an award. It's not a good award either, but it's an award nevertheless. And it was for most fragile product. And they are referring to the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con drift. Heck, even the Switch itself is pretty fragile because you got to make sure you don't do anything to scratch the screen or anything. So, and then you got reports of the Switches cracking under heat. So, yeah. Anyway, back to this controller. The D-pad feels pretty good. You can press them diagonally. So if you're playing like a fighting game, you can pull off moves pretty easily. You don't have to rely on the analog stick if you don't want to. In fact, I've noticed self-consciously whenever I play 2D games or fighting games, I wind up going towards the D-pad. The only exception to this, and this is because the D-pad is mainly used for taunts, is Smash. So, yeah, D-pad works just fine, no complaints there. You can press them all down, actually. They make a loud click when you do that, though. But if you pressing them like one at a time or rolling it doesn't sound all loud. And you don't really have any reason to press them all down at the same time, so... The overall design of the controller looks pretty good. It's not uncomfortable. Although I wish it had like more of a grip on this part. But other than that, it's pretty good. I have really no complaints. Oh yeah. And this thing can also read amiibos. So basically, this controller can do everything. This controller can do everything that a Pro controller can do, minus the HD rumble. That's the only thing it doesn't have is the HD rumble. It has a rumble, but it's kind of on the aggressive side. In fact, in the manual, it mentions that you can adjust the rumble power. So if you have it hooked up to the Switch, because you can't do it while it's hooked up to the Android or a PC. But if you go to the back and you press all four of these down at the same time and hold it down for a few seconds, the indicator lights down here will turn on, and each one represents a different level. So you got like a soft rumble, a little bit more harder rumble, and so on and so forth until you get to like super aggressive. Don't recommend that because I think the more aggressive the rumble is, the more power it uses. And that's another thing. The battery on this thing is not as good as the Pro Controller, but I've only had to charge it once a day. So that's not too bad, I guess. Unless you forget to charge it and then the little low battery thing pops up on the Switch. Then you have to put it into wired mode. Um, the cable is micro USB. Unfortunately, it's not USB-C, but it does work like it's supposed to. As far as putting this in wired mode, it's kind of weird how it does it. Because sometimes it'll do it by itself, and sometimes it'll try and go into PC mode. Like last night, for example, normally when I plug in the controller for it to charge, but I'm still playing the game, I will let it sit there for a little bit and it'll turn off and then go into wired mode. But last night, for some reason, I don't know why, instead of turning off and going into wired mode, it tried to go into PC mode. So your best bet for getting it into wired mode with no issues is to turn off the controller first, and then plug it in to your Switch, and that'll that'll minimize some of the issues. Because I thought it was kind of weird. It doesn't do it a lot, but it does try to mistake the Switch as a PC, because unfortunately on the PC side of things, you can only use this in wired mode. You can't use it on the PC wirelessly. I've tried, and it'll act like it's gonna connect, but when you go to like set up your key bindings and stuff, nothing happens. So that's a bit of a disappointment. On the Android side, it works perfectly fine like it's supposed to. I think it'll work in both wired and wireless mode. So no issues there. I forget what version of Bluetooth that this controller has. I think it's like 4 point something. I don't think it's 5.0. But yeah, it works on the phone just fine. Haven't had any issues with that. What else is there? Oh yeah. The company that makes this controller, they also have like an update software, so you can actually update the firmware on the controller. I don't think you can do it through the Switch. So they offer a piece of software that you can download to update the BIOS and stuff. Which reminds me, I need to check to see if there's a new update for it. Let's see. That is pretty much it. Oh, I guess I could tell you guys how to get into each mode that this thing has to offer. So, Nintendo Switch, when you first get this to pair it to your Nintendo Switch, in fact, I can demonstrate this now. So you need to go to controllers, change grip and order, and what you need to do is to pair it to the Switch. And this actually mentions it in the manual, but to pair it to the Switch, you press down the Y button, press and hold it, and then press the home button for a few seconds, and then it'll scan. Sometimes it'll take a little bit, and then there you go. It has paired to the Switch. You can't just press the home button and expect it to just work automatically. I think you can pair it through the USB as well, but I didn't actually try that one yet. And as far as the Android side goes, all you have to do is press and hold down the A button and push the home button. Hold it down for a few seconds, and then player 2 and 4 indicator lights, or player 2 and 3 indicator lights will start flashing, and then you can go onto your phone and pair it that way. So they don't mention the Android. They don't mention how to pair it to the Android though. So unless I overlooked it in the instructions, but I think I looked over it like 3 times and didn't see anything mentioning the Android. In fact, all it mentioned was the PC, the Switch, and how to update the firmware and change the vibration intensity. And that was it. So I think while I was writing it, they kind of overlooked that feature. So yeah, if I was to give this controller a rating, I would probably rate it, I don't know, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10, simply because it does have some issues, but nothing major that will make you like not buy the game. Buy the controller. Like I know for a lot of people, these will probably be a deal breaker, but not for me. I mean, I just got to remember to press all the way down, and I'm pretty much good. Plus, I do intend to use this on a computer at some point too, so having the analog sticks there, the analog triggers there will come in handy. But yeah, like I said, it does everything a Pro Controller can do, minus the HD rumble. And it has a few features of its own. So that's pretty cool. It makes it its own unique controller. So I would most definitely recommend this controller. I think I found it on Amazon for about $30 something. Now somebody got me this controller. I didn't buy this myself, but I did find the listing for it on Amazon, and it was yeah, it was like $30 something. So it's cheaper than the Pro controller, let's just put it that way. So yeah, if you yourself have this controller already, let me know what you think about it and if you would recommend it to your friends yourself. So my name is Richard Jefferson, and this has been a review on the PXN Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.